How's you going, boys? Mike here. Welcome back to Grampie's Workshop. Boys, I'm glad you dropped in today. I bought a new tool for the shop. It's for the woodworking side of the shop. So we're going to unbox that today, have a look at it, kind of check it over one end to the other, see if it's any good, and then we'll try it out. So I've got a 10-inch table saw in the shop here, and I like that saw. It works great, but the miter gauge that's on it, it's not real accurate. You have to constantly be checking it to make sure that it's accurate. So I was perusing the interweb there the other day, and it seems the last, I don't know, I'm going to say 4 months or so, I've been getting lots of ads about Temu, T-E-M-U, don't even know if I'm saying that right, Temu, trying to sell everything from women's underwear, which I don't need, but everything from women's underwear to mini excavators, like they've got a lot of gear, it seems to me. Anyway, I thought, yeah, Temu, I don't know, don't trust it. But way back when Amazon first came out, I didn't really trust that either, and now I do most of my buying from Amazon. So anyways, the other day I saw this ad from Temu, and it was advertising a miter gauge, and I thought, I just wonder. And anyway, when I got looking on Temu, the miter gauge that they had was a good looking miter gauge, looked good, on the computer it looked good anyways, and it was a decent price. I think it was $56.41 or something like that. And even that, the price, that looked like a nice gauge, and for that price and for the oddball price that was given it, I'm wondering. Of course, it's made offshore, but we can't escape that these days, it seems. So anyways, I thought, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to give Temu a chance here. So I ordered this miter gauge, and they said, okay, we're going to ship this out. We're going to deliver this. I think it was 18 business days from the time I placed the order till they said it was going to be delivered. But then they said, if it's not at your house, at your door, at the certified date that we state, then we're going to give you a $5 off coupon. So I thought, oh, well, there you go, see? Another thing that, offers that seem too good to be true, you have to be a little wary of. But anyways, I thought, worst comes to worst, I could play with this for the rest of the year, chasing them down, trying to get my money back, or I could end up with a nice tool. So anyways, I ordered it. Here it is, it's in the box. So I haven't opened it yet, so we're going to open it together today and just see. Like I say, in the pictures online, boys, it looked like a good tool, something like Norm Abram would use in his wood shop, right? It's red. See that? It's not Massey Ferguson red, but it's red. What do we got here? We got a little packet here with, it looks like some spacers and nuts and bolts and an Allen wrench. And another package here with some more spacers and some set screws, grub screws there, and a couple Allen wrenches. And then in this corner we've got a little knurled knob. It looks like it's made out of aluminum, but this knob is solid aluminum, I'm going to have to say, and it feels heavy. Then what happens? We have this piece here, which looks like a stop block that you'd add to it, and that feels good heft to it too. And it looks like it's like well machined, so I mean that looks good. Then there's this part, which is the actual miter gauge part. The divisions on the miter gauge, they look like they're machined nice. It looks good, eh? Although these spacers here that are going to adjust it in the slot on the table to keep it from rocking and racking back and forth, they only seem to be plastic, so I'm not sure how well they'll last. There's this wheel on the end, and I'm sure that's for, on my table saw, there's what's called a T-slot, 2 T-slots on the table, and this is the wheel that slips in there to keep the miter gauge from flopping out of the miter slot. Yeah, but these spacers here, they look like they're plastic, so I'm not quite sure how good they would stand up. But anyway, we'll see, eh? And then, the one that I ordered had, I think it was a 16-inch fence on it, extension fence. So that's what this is. And I like that aspect of it because the miter gauge that I have now, it's only about 6 inches long. and you have a long stick on it, it's hard to hold it tight against the miter gauge, so that might be nice too. But anyway, that's that part of it. And then what else is there? That's it. 0 instructions. That's my kind of tool, no instructions. Us men folk like to disregard instructions anyways, so. But you know what, right off the get-go, although these spacers are just plastic, the metal parts, the aluminum parts, they really seem to be well constructed. So this is the actual miter gauge itself, and I'm thinking that turns around. Yes, it does, just like that. So this handle, along with this spacer that fell off it, goes in here. Okay, now right off the bat, this set screw in the handle, it was loose, so I tightened it into the handle, but now it doesn't come through. It doesn't come through this slot on the miter gauge far enough to engage in the bar. So I'm not sure what's up with that. We're going to have to loosen this, and we're going to put that in there, put that in there, and then we're going to tighten this down here. I don't know. You know, what I'm thinking I might do is I'm going to loosen, how much do I have on this? That's about 1 inch long. I'll put about 3/4 of an inch exposed, and then this will go on there, and then that will still thread into this by a fair amount. As long as it doesn't come through in the backside. But what I might do then is take this, put a little bit of thread locker on it, right? Doesn't look to me like a good way to tighten it up. However, that's the way it is, right? Now, this one over here, this screw right here I'm looking at. This adjusts the ability for this miter gauge to move from side to side. I don't know whether we need that to be right sloppy like that. So, like I'm not liking that part either. Like, that's just loose in there, right? So I set that up so that I can turn this pretty easy. But I can see over time that's going to get so loose, and then it's going to be wobbly. Maybe a little bit of thread locker on that too would be in order. Anyway, when you set this gauge wherever you want it, then there's this gizmo thingy here that can slide. Now that one is very tight. That is made to slip right in there and tighten that up to make that 90 degrees, right? Or whatever your angle is. And that locks it good and tight. Well, fairly tight. Yeah, that locks it good and tight. Plus, you'll tighten this knob down, so no way that's going to move. So it looks like you can set the degrees on it, and it's not going to wobble around on you. The base plate on this looks to be just plastic as well. I know it looks nice, but there's plastic parts on it. I'm not sure how they're going to stand up, but nevertheless, that's what you get. Now the fence, I'm thinking the fence probably goes this way, so that the flat part faces the working edge of the saw. This is a stop block that I'm wrestling with right now. And wrestling is the right word. I think it goes up here. I hate to say it, you know, but I'm missing instructions. You know, when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, this stop block, it'd be nice to have. I don't know how often it's going to be on the saw. That's the thing. Like half the time I may be taking it off, but it's not easy to get on. It's going to be hard to see what your measurement is set at. And the scale is in millimeters. I don't like using millimeters. Let's see how we attach this to the miter gauge now. There's a couple of big spacers here. I'm thinking we're going to be using those. So that'll go through there, will it? No, it won't. Those are threaded holes. It looks like a pretty thing to look at, but I'm struggling with how to put it together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back on Amazon and have a look at the pictures and see if I can figure out how it goes together from the pictures, and then we'll be back. Well, I went on the Temu site, and there's a video there on how this all goes together. So go figure. So you take this machine screw and put the little plastic washer on it, put it through the large slot, and then there's square nuts that go in the back of that. All right, you don't tighten that right up though, however, eh? And I need another washer. That goes in there. And then you take this fence and you feed those bolts, you feed the square nuts into that slot. And good luck doing that. They show it in the video, it goes really quick in the video. Get in there, you. There you go. And then this one goes in here. There you go. It also shows there's a couple of set screws. That's what these little set screws are for here, the little grub screws. And they go in these holes right here. And I'm not sure exactly the purpose of that. We'll put them in there anyways. What the heck. If nothing else, we'll put them in there and we won't lose them, eh? The sizing and the lettering that's on it, it looks of good quality too, I must say. Like, it doesn't look like it's going to wear off easily. Anyway, so that's how that goes together. This goes up here, like so, and goes in there, and then that just tightens up, and you use that as a stop block. Or you can turn it the other way. You have to move this like that. Put it in one of these slots in the front, because all these slots are the same. So one thing I'll have to say, because of all these slots, you get lots of different kind of options, like adding to the fence, so you can add maybe your own creations of tools, which would be kind of nice. I would enjoy that. So that would go on there. You'd have to move this a little bit so you can tighten this like that. And then there's another stop block down here, right? You see that? So that one would be a little harder to use, but it can be used. So we're going to put that up here for now. All right. And what I'd like to do now is take it over and put it on the saw and just see how well that this big washer on the end here fits into the T-slot that's on my saw. And we're probably going to have to adjust these to get this T-bar so it doesn't wobble too much in the slot of the saw. So anyway, let's go over to the saw and set this up and see how we make out. Alright, we have the miter gauge over here at the saw, and I'm going to tell you right up front here, be honest, totally honest, I don't recommend this gauge. It looks nice, it's well constructed. I think the material in it is excellent. It's well marked and everything like that. The divisions are nice, but it's a rinky-dink thing trying to put together. To start off with, I've got T-slots on my saw, and this burr was not straight. It didn't line up with the table. When I tried to put the locking T in the slot, it kept jamming. And I don't know whether you can see that now, but I had to bend this down because when you tighten this, it would warp the whole machine. So I ended up bending it a little bit so that I could get it to slide in here nice and easy. So I have it so it slides pretty good now, and these screws here, there's little plastic washers on them, which, not good, eh? This spacer here at the end of the bar, that's a metal spacer, and that's good. That works good once it gets locked in that T. And that's going to come in handy if you have a long cut to make, because that'll hold the miter gauge on the table. So yeah, that works good. But these little washers, they're just plastic. They're split. I think the idea of them is they go in here, so these screws compress or expand depending on how tight you make the screws on them to maintain a good tight fit of the bar of the miter gauge in the slot. Well, they don't work good, eh? Like they were catching on the edge of my slot, and they were bouncing out and bending and twisting. So I just took them right out. The gauge it moves a couple of thou maybe, which in the woodworking world I don't think it's critical. The other thing is getting this slider here to get on the miter gauge. If you look at the back, there's these two machine screws with square nuts in the back. There's about a thread and a half of engagement in those when you put these plastic washers in place to connect to when you put the fence on. Yeah, I wrestled with that for a bit of 15 minutes to get them set in there just quite right. So I didn't like that part of it. The other thing is this knob here that secures the miter gauge down. I was already talking about that. That's just a piece of threaded rod that goes in the knob. I'm going to have to put Loctite on that or a thread seal or something because that's just not going to hold up. That's going to fall off in the middle of a project and your gear starts falling apart on you. You don't want that to happen. So in order to make adjustments on the miter gauge, you loosen this handle, right? And then you have to loosen this knob. Then you have to slide that keeper out of the way, and then you can rotate your gauge. There's no real good indicator of what the degrees are until you re-engage this lock. So if I want to cut 45, I'm going to have to go way around here to 45, lock that in place, tighten that down, and I don't know, there's just a lot of working parts in there to get that to be what I would consider a good 45 degrees. Now that might be right on right now, who knows, right? I never made a cut with it yet, but when you loosen this, like this whole thing kind of wobbles around, so like how accurate is that really, I wonder. 45 on the other side would be right there, and then you tighten that down. If you wanted to go say 22.5 degrees, they do have some markings here. That's 22.5 right there, I guess, and this is 24.5. But like if you wanted to get like an oddball number, like 17 degrees or something for whatever reason, I don't know what. Like where's the 17? Like you have to put this pointer in the gauge. It goes in at 15. If I want to get it to 17, like is that 17 or is that 16.5? Because the gauge doesn't fully close up there to get that reading. So yeah. It looks like there's multiple adjustments here on the miter gauge for infinite number of settings, but in fact, to get accurate, repeatable cuts, you're limited to what's already machined on the edge of this miter gauge. So, don't like that. Let me just turn this around. There's something else. Just to make an adjustment, you know, you have to go 1, 2, 3 things to make the adjustment. Anyway, so and there I have it set now at 30 degrees, and you know that's quite a bit of wobble there. So you have to make sure you push this indicator lock tightly, engage it there, and even that, you know, I don't know. Just I don't like it. The other thing, this stop block, I think that might be a handy thing. You know, you can adjust it different places along the fence. And there's also a stop block here that you could use somehow, I don't know, reposition this some way. So yeah, that might come in handy. Now this cost me $60, and it's not a bad gauge, don't get me wrong. Once you use it for a little bit, I guess you'd learn how to use it better. But right now I'm thinking it's going to be more nuisance trying to get it set up to make repeated cuts than it's worthwhile. So this Temu miter gauge looks really nice. It's pretty, but is it going to be useful in the shop? It's not going to be what I thought it was. I'll keep it. I'm not going to send it back. But I guess you get what you pay for, don't you? This is a fail. This is not Grampie's Workshop approved. Just saying. But let's talk about Temu for a little bit. It's the first time I ever used Temu. The product arrived a week early, a full week early, and it was free shipping. So I have no complaints about that. As far as the products that they have on the Temu site, there's just unlimited products of any kind of category you'd want to shop in, I'm sure. So let me know what you think of Temu. Do you ever use Temu before, and did you have good luck with it? And let me know what you think of my miter gauge, other than it being pretty. You know, tell me what you think. In the meantime, folks, don't forget to thumbs up me. And have a great week. We'll talk to you.